everybody. Welcome back to the Innocent Souls podcast. I am your host, Ariella Noel, and today, first of all, happy holidays. I feel like we're in the swing of everything. Everything is like, this is the busiest time of the year, it feels like. Happy Halloween to those who celebrated. I did not post last week because of Halloween, so it was one of those things where I was out with friends, enjoying life and not really trying to do too much, not too much of my girl. We were just in the vibes, trying to stay present and outside, even though it was very, very cold. Very, very cold. But anywho, I hope everybody enjoyed themselves, and if not, then hopefully the rest of the holiday season is a bit better. But yeah, so I kind of want to set the vibes today. Oh, I didn't even do my intro. I'm like all over the place. Like, okay, welcome to the Innocent Souls podcast, where we talk about spiritual well-being, spiritual growth, mental growth, and all things that lead us back to our innocent light selves. All right. Great. So today's episode is something I feel like I haven't really talked about on the internet, at least. I've been very, very quiet about my love life. I don't really talk about my love life that often or frequently, but this episode is kind of a bit different. It's basically about not rushing love, honestly. So let's get to the main portion of what I want to talk about in regards of love and what I've been learning through my journey in this new connection that I'm currently residing in. So, and if you're watching me on YouTube, once again, I have notes in front of me. So if I keep looking down, all of my notes are here. So yeah. Anyways, let's get into the spiritual song of the week. Now, my spiritual song of the week is by Ariella J, and it's called Magic. And I don't know if you ever heard it, and if so, I think you should go and stream it and listen to it, because it's one of those songs that remind you of just how like divine you are, your being, your essence, your divinity, how we are all a piece of God, and how God resides in all of us, no matter how we look, no matter what we do. God is a part of our being, and that song is just, it brings me back to center. It makes me feel so heavenly, so yeah, I think everybody should go check out that song, go stream it, and see if you resonate with it as much as I do. It's also one of those songs that kind of brings me back to center when I'm like questioning myself, or like who I am, or how God sees me. And I think, to put it simply, God sees you the way that you are, and when you're at your truest form, your quote unquote higher self, as people would say, that core being within you, that's how God sees you. So every time I listen to this song, it definitely reminds me of that version of myself when I sometimes lose the plot, sometimes when I lose focus on what's important and who I am internally. That song kind of reminds me of, okay, go back to center. Ariella J, Magic. All right, let's get into the affirmation of the week. And this one is something that has been helping me in the context of love as well. So the affirmation of the week is, I am in divine flow, and I allow things to bloom in their time. So I think with that, this is going to tie right into the point of this episode, which is don't rush love. So let's get into the message, the meat and potatoes of this whole thing. So recently, I have fallen in love, you guys. I am officially in my lover girl era. Didn't think it would happen to me, but here we are. We are in full swing of lover girl season. And, it's so interesting because I spent the last 3 years doing so much work on myself and so much, inner work, trying to make sure that I was going to be the best version for myself. And, ultimately my partner, when that person, finally came along. And it's so many things that I feel like I've accomplished and worked on and healed from, and still healing from, because healing is definitely not linear, and you're going to continuously be healing from something or things in your life. But One thing that really was an eye-opening moment when I met my current boyfriend was there's certain things that you don't know that's wrong, quote unquote, with you, or things that's going on with you until another person holds up a mirror to you. And I thought, I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit prideful. I was a bit like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, I'm not damaged. I'm cool. I'm not toxic. I'm good. And then this person came along and was like, are you sure? Like, are you positive? Like, you could definitely work on some more things. But not verbally. Nothing in his words ever said that. But it's what showed up in my being when we started talking. One thing that I know I struggled with avoiding attachment really badly. Like, that was something that I really, really, really am very self-aware about. Like, I hate confrontation. I will avoid it at all costs. I hate the moment I feel like I'm in a connection, I have to be vulnerable. I would rather avoid it altogether. But something that came up recently is when I decided not to be avoidant and I let those walls down, anxious attachment was right around the corner because I didn't have my defense mechanisms to keep me safe in this connection anymore. And it was like, oh, the thing that I perceived that kept me strong was my avoidant attachment. And once that had left and I was forced to be in the connection and be vulnerable, the anxious attachment came up because it was like, oh my God, now you're here. I love you. I really care about you. What if you leave? What if this? What if that? Like, it was so many questions, like, just going in my head on and on and on. And I'm working on being securely attached. And I'm so thankful for my partner because he's always just like reassuring me and being like, no, I'm here. And every turn, I've tried to break up with him. It was bad. In the beginning, I was a piece of work in the beginning. Because I was just so scared. Like, I've never been in a spot where I had to be so open with somebody and them seeing these flaws and still choosing to stay. And I was like, what is this? Like, and that scared me even more, Anyways, and I think in the beginning I wanted to run so much because I wasn't sure about what this was. I didn't know if he was going to stay. I didn't know if he was going to go. I didn't know if this was even something that Source, Universe, God wanted for me at first, until the connection continued to grow. And that's like my next point is let things grow at their own pace. I think with the anxious attachment style that I didn't even realize I had until recently, the anxious attachment wants some sense of stability. I think it wants the reassurance that this is going to last. Even though love is a gamble, love is a risk. It's literally you trusting, this person, or trusting yourself, or trusting God that it's going to all work out. But even if it doesn't, like, you have to get to a point where your trust in God and Source is bigger than if this person leaves or not. Like, you're going to be okay either way. Anyways, but the anxious attachment style really wants to find a security blanket. It wants to feel safe. So in the beginning, I think we both kind of rushed the connection a little bit because we were both just kind of trying to figure out, what is this? Like, is this person going to stay in a situation? But, the more we tried to cling on, the more it kind of fell apart in the beginning. And that was honestly half my fault too. So, but one thing that I'm learning in this connection is just let it grow naturally. Stop trying to rush it to the connection. Stop trying to figure out things and just go with it. And I remember I was praying about him not too long ago, and I was like, God, is this what you want? And the only thing God really told me was grow together, grow through it and grow together. And I started to see a vision of it's like a big tree. It's like the redwood forest trees. And I looked down at the roots, and all the roots are like kind of growing straight across. And then in the vision, I saw all the roots tangle together and grow down together. And they started intertwining together. And I was like, wow, what a powerful vision, and what a powerful thing to think about, even in this connection that I'm in now. Like, we are building the foundation. These are the roots that are starting to form now. Everything that we're doing now, we're learning each other as time goes on. And it's something so beautiful about knowing that we don't have to rush it. And it's happening. And it's, I think it's been such a testament to see it grow, because we've been through some things already, and we've already started to build a solid foundation together in this connection. And I think that's just a testament of, like I was saying, letting it come together in the whole like tree analogy, and seeing our roots grow together so far has been such a magical thing. And yeah, and I think my next thing too, because even I will say this, one thing about when I was really heavily involved in Christianity, I think some of the love stories that were being portrayed in the community, not saying who, I'm not saying any names or nothing like that, but just overall, I think in a way people portrayed it as it's supposed to be this perfect thing. You're supposed to know off the bat, it's going to be this thing that's just, you're just going to know. And when I first met my boyfriend, I was like, I'm not sure what this is, because Christianity taught me to be on defense of everybody that came into my life. Like, I was so terrified and scared of everybody. I was like, oh my God, is this sent from God? Is this somebody like that? I always was just on defense, just ready to protect, ready to kick out, move people out the way. And it didn't allow any room for seeking and finding out. And I think sometimes with love, you have to do that. You have to seek and find out sometimes. And even in this connection, I was so scared at first. I was like, God, like, I don't know. I'm nervous. Like, just in case, like, I don't want to get my feelings hurt. Da, da, da. Like, I was just so all over the place. But I think the biggest lesson that I've learned so far is like the grace with somebody, having grace for somebody, because nobody's going to get it perfect every time. And I think even when we both messed up and both had missteps, us having grace for each other and honestly choosing each other. I think we've got to a point in our connection where we are honestly choosing each other every single day. I know for me, like, it wasn't easy. And I still mentally kind of struggle with the ideas or certain belief systems that I had, and how they show up in this connection can sometimes be tricky, because I have to choose to ignore the voices, lean into my intuition, into God, and know that He has me. And like, even the other night, we did kind of like this practice, a part of this group that I'm a part of. We did this kind of practice where we had like a conversation with our centered, quote unquote, higher selves and our protective version of ourselves that's like trying to keep ourselves safe. And I remember I wrote mine down in my notes, and I basically said, am I doing this right? I'm scared I might be doing this wrong. And if I don't protect me, who's going to protect me? And I remember hearing Spirit kind of say, if you were doing it wrong, you would be redirected. God always redirect you. Why wouldn't He now if this wasn't right? And I was like, you know what? I had to lean into that knowing that, oh my God, like I'm fine. If this is not what God wanted, He would have been redirected me. So my goal is to be present in the moment, lean into the love, surrender to the love that's being presented in front of me, and allow myself the freedom to just exist and be. That's been the hardest thing. It sounds like it's the easiest, but it's been the hardest thing when you're so used to everything going wrong. You're so used to things just falling apart. So my brain has been trying to figure out or find things that's wrong, so that way I could just like dip. It's like, oh, that's wrong. Great. Got it. I'm gone. Instead of just being and existing in the connection and knowing that you're safe in it. Like, God isn't gonna bring something to your life that's just gonna hurt you on purpose. Like, that's not God. So I've been very, very adamant about being in this connection as present as possible, even though it's been scary as possible. But knowing that if it wasn't right, God would point me in a different direction, because he always has. Even when it's come to religion and church and, where I should be in my career or things, like, it's been roles that I've taken and God's like, turn around. Or I'll get a dream about something and it's like, well, go this way instead of that way, So yeah, I'm very grateful for the spiritual guidance that God has really been placing in front of me and right in front of my face. Honestly, I think the spiritual growth that's taken place over the past couple years has been one of the most transformative, because it has allowed me to be centered and hear and be still enough to hear God. Be still enough to hear His presence and to feel when He's guiding me in a certain direction, in a certain area. So, yeah. And I think the last point that I really want to make is just give grace to yourself. I think in love, we want to be so perfect. We want to do everything right. And sometimes we want to say the right things. We want to do the right things. We want to do everything right. But you're not going to get it right 100% of the time. You're just not. Like, I heard somebody say recently, what is the last thing that you did perfectly? Crickets. Never done anything perfectly. And nobody ever has done anything perfectly the first go round. But that's the thing. You learn, you grow, and the things that you observe and you go through, you implement them time and time again. Like, you're never going to get it right 100%, but I think the willingness, and also to have somebody in your corner that's just as willing to try as you, I think that's what makes a successful relationship, is both parties are willing to try. And I know it's been hard for me, because my disposition in the past has just been, you hurt me, I'm out. You did something I don't like, I'm out. I don't care, I'm out. Like, that was I was honestly operate from like a pride spirit, like a pride mindset for most of it, and not grace. And I think I read this book. It's called Scary Close by Donald Miller. And he said something along the lines of, in the book, I don't want to get it wrong. I have the book right here, but I don't want to like reach for it. Anyways, he said something along the lines of, are you willing to be hurt repeatedly and have to forgive repeatedly to have healthy, long-standing relationships, or be alone forever? And when I sat down and thought about it, I was like, wow, that's so true. Because when you think about it, we're all human. We're going to hurt each other. It's inevitable. Like, it's going to happen. Sorry, that made me think of my boyfriend, because we just joked about Avengers last night, so that's kind of funny. Anyways, but it's inevitable that people are going to hurt you, but forgiveness and grace goes a very long way. And just because I say people are going to hurt you, that's not me negating or excusing trauma or abuse or anything of that nature. No, it's some non-negotiables that you need to stand 10 toes down, but I'm talking about the little things, the little hiccups, the little things that maybe somebody didn't realize that hurt you, but did. And, I think for me in the past, I'd be like, oh, even the little things, I'd be so over it. I'm like, okay, I don't care. But this love that I'm currently residing in is teaching me how to move with grace and forgiveness, and also realize that we're all human, but that's kind of where I am now, is having somebody in my corner that makes me feel safe enough to explore all these feelings and know that it's safe to open up that emotional box with him, and he does the same with me. And I think that's been the biggest blessing that I possibly could ask for, honestly. And I'm very grateful for him every single day, because he's definitely been that rock for me, and that emotional rock too, that I've always dreamed of and wish I had, and now I have it. So yeah, he's a real treat. He's a real blessing, that one. So yeah. Anyways, guys, thank you for listening to the podcast today. This has been kind of interesting, talking about love in this way. I never thought that I would ever really share my personal life to this regard on the internet, but I'm very thankful and I'm very grateful for where I am and my connection with him. And I'm grateful I can try to pass on some information to you guys to just go with the divine flow. of every relationship. And when it's time for something to end, it will gracefully end. And if it's not, then you continue to work, continue to grow together, continue to put down those roots, continue to learn one another, and continue to know that people aren't perfect, but as long as people are willing, that's what matters. All right. I love you guys and hope you guys have a good holiday. I will see you guys next week. And yeah, this was nice. This is Ariella signing out. Love y'all. Bye.